Hey y'all, welcome back to the channel. I got the Love Island Season 3 Monday Night Paramount Plus exclusive for August 2nd, and we're going to do a recap. So before we jump into this, if you're new here, hit the subscribe button, turn on your notifications. If you like the video, smash the like button, and feel free to drop a comment down in the comment section below. We don't have a lot with this one. The content was kind of weak, but I'm just going to only highlight some of the interesting parts of it. I almost fell asleep during this one. So, I'll just update you with, the little bit that came, out of this particular episode. So, without further ado, let's jump into this video. All right, so we are definitely back again. This is the Paramount Plus exclusive on Monday night, August 2nd. And it started out with the three girls that are coming into the villa. And as you remember from episode 19, Jeremy and Kory and Will had to prepare a meal for these lovely ladies. And I was pretty much surprised with some of the conversations. The guys were pretty much excited. The OG girls were watching from afar along with Josh. And I will tell you, the food that Kory made looked pretty good. But I kind of want to touch on Will. And I know a lot of people have been dragging him because of everything that happened in Casa Amora. She actually asked him where his standing was. And he was like, you know what? Hey, I messed with a model from Casa Amora and it kind of cost me, and I'm not finna ruin that. So, I appreciate you choosing me, but hey, pretty much me and Kira, I should say, is good. And, she was like, oh, okay, well, I appreciate that. And, thanks for telling me. So Will obviously is not going to go there because a lot of people are saying that his head is going to turn, but so far, not yet. So Jeremy also had a conversation, and my question is, why is he still there? That man has been in this villa, not making really any connections. He had one with Florida, he had one with Amy, and I mean, it was just going on and on. I don't know why he's here. But what I will say is the conversations that Kory had with these young ladies. I mean, Will was pretty much out of the picture. He was just enjoying the moment. He made some vegan curry, I think it's called. But he was just there for the conversation. And you know what? I got to give him credit because I always like to see progression. So I know a lot of folks are saying he a player and whatnot, and he didn't do well in Casa. I will say he also was a very open with what happened at Casa with that girl Florence to Kira. But the best thing is watching to see if they learn their lesson. So the girls talked about the guys from the whole, I think this was lunch or dinner. And pretty much they was saying, hey, Will is off limits. He was like, nope, he's wifed up, is what one of the girls said. However, the girls were definitely very interested while the OG girls were watching. They were definitely interested in Mr. Kory. Kory was a big hit last night. And it's now time for dessert. And they're just picking up where they left off with Kory. I honestly think he needs to explore these options. In my opinion, I don't think, and hey, it's just me. It's just my opinion. I really don't think him and Olivia have a true, real connection. In regards to Charlie, because I was curious to see what he was going to do with one of these ladies, he was definitely flattered, but he is so reserved. And with this young lady, I think her name might be Bailey. With this young lady, she is looking for a little bit more spark. And she'll talk about that more in the conversation that she had with the other new girls after dessert is over. But, he took it in stride. I was wondering if he was going to turn his head because, he's coupled up with Cachet at this point, and he was definitely not happy with Cachet, or it looked like they patched it up at the end. But part of him had the whole issue with the Cinco Triangle, which, of course, we all know Cinco left in episode number 19. But it didn't seem like he was budging. I know he gave some compliments, but it wasn't that big of an issue where it was like, oh my God, I think his head is going to turn. Um, and I will give it to these girls because they asked some really good questions. Where are you from? What do you like to do back home? They kind of talked about our families a little bit. So they went in a little bit more in depth with their conversation with some of these guys versus the typical surface stuff. So I did like that and appreciate that whole conversation. But I don't know. I honestly was wondering if, like I say, Charlie was going to turn his head, but it's not there for me. You guys might have think otherwise, but pretty much they summed it up for the night. And the biggest consensus for the girls after they, sat down and pretty much deliberated with each other is that they was pretty much sold on Mr. Kory. And I'm wondering, I think he seemed to be a little bit more compatible with one of the other girls with the long hair, the brown long hair. I can't remember their names. But Cash was thinking Charlie was smiling a little bit too much. And she actually said that she's going to have to give him a blowy later that night. And you know what that means. So I'm like, okay. But this is where now the girls decide to kind of mingle with everybody in the villa, and everybody was asking questions. Shannon, of course, said that she thought the girls were really nice. I mean, like I said, this particular episode, I was expecting to get a lot more. We got more drama last night in episode 19 than we did in this exclusive. Now, I will say they were saying a few things, but it wasn't that impactful episode that I was expecting. It was pretty much them. They spent probably half of the show with the girls trying to figure their way out with in regards to, the three guys that they talked to. So, one of the biggest things is Olivia. And because of the fact that these girls were really, truly interested in Kory, it kind of put Olivia on edge a little bit. I mean, because they played this little game with each other. Who would you kiss if you could kiss somebody right now? And who would you couple up with? And some of the things that you've done. And I mean, everything circled back to Kory. Kory was the star and the highlight with these three girls. Now, I will say that they did also kind of sort of had interest in Jeremy. This young lady, I don't think was really feeling him as much as she said with Kory. But the whole conversation that focused around him, it was pretty interesting. Jeremy, he's just like, oh yeah, I can see myself with this one. I'm like, dude, you said you can see yourself with everybody that you have probably been with, starting from Trina on down the Flo, on Amy, and anybody else, and it just has not come to fruition. It's just not there. Now, I know there's a lot of rumors about him having family members that work with the network. I'm not sure. I haven't verified that or whatever, but that's the talk. Because at this point, I don't understand why he or Olivia is on this show right now. But one of the girls did have a sit-down conversation with Josh, and she was fishing for information about the relationship with Kory and Olivia. Man, Josh was like, oh, the only two people that's coupled up here is Kyra and Will and me and Shannon. So if you want to go for him, hey, to me, he's a free option, or he's open for whatever. And I'm like, boy, I'm wondering what Olivia think about, what he had to say. Because he was pretty much telling that girl, yeah, go for what you know. And it's only two couples in here right now. I'm like, okay. okay. So that's going to probably end up being a new triangle. Because we had the other triangles. One of them busted last night. And this other one is going to be the next one. So they did this whole, they got a text about water splash fun games. I'm like, okay. I don't know if they lost a lot with sending Cinco home, but it was just not a lot of heavy content for this particular episode. So, guys, I'm trying to get as much as possible. But Kira definitely had a smile on her face because Will did not turn his head. Kory, on the other hand, is on 10 because he's excited about getting to know these girls. And honestly, I want him to explore those options. I just don't see it with Olivia. I think them two collided and joined together because they realized that if they didn't, somebody was going to be out that door, either one of them or both of them. And they was like, you know what? Let's just couple up. We can make this real. This is Calvin Moira 2.0. And sure enough, when they left the villa and everything was over, it was kaputs. So I don't know, Olivia. You got to figure this thing out. I mean, she said that she even wanted to have sex with Kory, that was one of her fantasies. And I'm like, okay. And Kory really didn't hype him up like that because I was wondering what his expectations was going to be. But this girl is going to have a fight on her hand because these three girls are definitely coming for a piece of Kory. So I hope you enjoyed this video. It's a little bit shorter. I provided whatever the content that I could highlight from this Monday night exclusive episode. I'm looking forward to episode 20 tomorrow. Hopefully we'll get a little bit more. Honestly, I don't know why Trina's there, Jeremy's there, Olivia's there. And even with Kira and Will being a couple, I'm curious to see what they're going to be outside the villa. Is this just to get to the end or what? Because right now, the two couples that's left is, of course, Josh and Shannon and really Kira and Will. But it's not solid to me. Either one of them. I mean, maybe Josh and Shannon, but one moment Josh trip up, Shannon is going to blow her top. And everybody's waiting for the shoe to drop on Will. So I'm going to stop right there. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Like, comment, and subscribe. And we will see you in the next recap.